on Channel 6 News, our special segment of the day. It's commercial time. How much sex is in your commercials? But first, a word from our sponsors.
Holy shit, man. Holy fuck.
Yo, man, check it out.
Holy Jesus. Oh, come to Papa. Holy Mother of God. Oh.
In recent news, it appears that commercial advertising is relying more and more on sex to sell products. Many of the sexy commercials out there advertise products that have little or nothing to do with sex. People are beginning to wonder if these commercials are selling a product or simply are selling the sex. In fact, when we showed a highly sexualized perfume ad to students at Northwestern University's Theories of Mediated Communication class, over 61% reported that the ad made them think of sex in general rather than the product itself. So perhaps the important question becomes, how does all this sex affect viewers? Is the intercourse in commercials interfering with your life? We spoke with members of Northwestern University's community to find out. Take a look.
Sometimes they use sex for the most random things, like I don't know why you need sex to sell bubble gum.
I would rather than just sell the product. It's not really doing anything for me. I'm just like, this is awkward to watch.
I mean, truthfully, from their standpoint, I probably remember them more, and that probably works.
Does that make you want to go buy the product more, or
No.
just makes you remember the commercial?
Just makes me remember.
It makes me lament the consumerism that drives us all, but you know, I can recognize it.
I actually think that you always realize that it's very like sexual when you're like sitting with your parents and watching TV, and then you're like, oh my god, this is awful. But like you're not
generation
really,
difference,
right? And you're not really as aware of it when you're just by yourself. It's just kind of like, oh, this is TV, like oh, they're like fucking on the screen and stuff. But when your parents are there, it's very like you can't watch anything.
So I think it works on everybody. Really.
Yeah, regardless of age.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I have a 9-year-old, and even he like stops and looks. Well, seriously, because he doesn't understand it, and he's intrigued.
I just think it's annoying that they think that they can convince me that putting this spray on my underarms will make women jump on me in the streets.
So you think they try and, you know, appeal to you with sex, and you think
Yes, and I'm sure there's lots of people that works for.
Doesn't work for you.
No, not really.
Why not?
I mean, I think this stuff smells terrible.
I think we're so bombarded with sex stuff that we kind of get somewhat immune to it after a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think most people are immune to it, or do you think it still has a shock factor?
I mean, I think there's somewhat of a shock factor if you actually look at it and think about it, but I think at the same time, if you're constantly watching this sort of stuff, it's not really going to grab your attention as much because it could be a commercial for pretty much any other clothes company. The effect, if anything, would be more subconscious than conscious, because I don't think anybody would watch that and see, oh, I've got to buy my jeans now.
That was Northwestern University students on whether or not they like sex in commercials. Indeed, a survey conducted among members of Northwestern's Theories of Mediated Communication class reported that 62.5% of students do not think there should be stricter controls on sex in the media. But has there ever been a stricter control? Have commercials always been this sexualized? Take a look at an excerpt from a typical 1989 commercial by Cadillac. We'll continue with this special segment after the break.
In today's luxury game, the question isn't whether or not your car has available features like a 40-gig hard drive. It isn't about sunroofs or Sapelli-wood accents, pop-up nav screens, or any of that. No, the real question is, when you turn your car on, does it return the favor?
We're back here at Channel 6 News with our special segment on sex in commercials. We returned to Northwestern University where we spoke with students and residents about whether or not they think commercials have always been as sexualized as they are today.
I guess this has been going on for like as long as I can remember.
I don't know, I'm only 20 years old, so yeah. I know when you watch Nick at Night commercials, for example, and they're like from back in like the 60s and stuff, there's nothing even close to this. Yeah. So it's probably a relatively new phenomenon.
It seems like there is more sexuality, I would say, available to younger kids at earlier times of the day. There used to be certain commercials that wouldn't run until after the kids were in bed when I was a kid, and now it's during the day, you know.
I guess I don't know, new generation as time goes on, we just get more explicit.
So do you have children?
I have one.
And do you think images like this are available to him? And how does that affect him?
It is. He asks questions about stuff he has no business. He shouldn't even know. But it's not. They don't think twice when they put it on TV. Even commercials and infomercials and the cartoons they put the stuff on. It's available for all kids under no age. At any age.
But yes, you are seeing more sexy commercials now than you saw in the 90s.
In the 90s.
For example, I did watch a lot of TV in the 90s, and I remember not that much sexy commercials.
I'm sure it's more of a new trend because it's becoming more socially acceptable to do things like that.
Do you think it's partly the media that's making it more socially acceptable?
I think it's the culture that's made it more acceptable. It's only the media that's caught on and realized that. Because if they aired something like this in the 50s, there'd be an uproar. So it's not the media that's perpetrating it, it's us that are allowing it.
Well, it seems that Northwestern students know a lot about sex in commercials. Some argue that if people are so aware of sexual imagery in commercials, it cannot manipulate them and thus cannot affect them negatively. Others, however, argue that sex has become so accepted and omnipresent in our society that it is almost unnoticeable, despite what viewers may say. In their research, Don Zillman and Jennings Bryan found that people's attitudes towards sex become less restricted after prolonged exposure to it. To remind you of a time when perhaps sex was more restricted in media, we bring you another commercial excerpt. Take a look at how Levi's sold jeans back in 1977.
Come on, old trademark. Time for your walk. Where will you take me? Sure wish you could talk. I know what you'd tell me. How your family began with the same Levi's blue jeans worn by this man. Hey, here comes more Levi's, red, yellow, and blue. Freewheeling kiddos are wearing them too. Sums it up right there. Levi's Sportswear.
Channel 6 News will be right back after a word from our commercial sponsors.
That is strange love, a pure but very plain love, a love that burned like fire through a field. And once I had a strange love, a publicly acclaimed love, the kind of love as seen in magazines. And then there was that strange love, that vulgar and profane love, the kind of love that we don't talk about. You see, I've had some strange love, some good, some bad, some plain love, some so-so love, and say la vie. But just let me proclaim, love, that out of all this strange love, you're the strangest love I've ever known.
That's all for today. We'll be back tomorrow with the nightly news and another special segment, Rainbow Parties, Urban Legend or Reality. This has been a report from Channel 6 News. Thank you and have a pleasant tomorrow.